pre or post trip. It's if you're doing something wrong.
Weather, traffic.
Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to some traffic and weather with Buckle Up Bob. You can kind of see where the visibility can be compromised a little bit. Again, right where that rain is.
And most importantly, safety.
One of the things that we must do is make sure that safety is the number one thing that we focus on.
Going into an intersection, yellow is not the way. That's to clear an intersection, not to enter an intersection.
Tune in weekdays from 7 a.m. to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. You can watch BCB Live through LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook. So what are you waiting for? Subscribe today and follow BCB Live.
Along with Sir Rick over there manning the boards, making sure everything is running smooth, making sure everything is happening out there. I hope everybody's having a wonderful Sunday morning. It's a little bit warm here, right, Sir Rick? Got a little bit of heat yesterday. Did you do anything out in the heat?
It was just warm, is all it was. It wasn't 90, right? Remember that argument yesterday? It wasn't hot. It was just warm.
Okay. Well, it felt a little, if you were doing something outside in the sun, it felt
So you're
hot.
trying to lead into what you were doing, Dave. What did you do manually or manual labor yesterday?
Yesterday, my daughter and I went skeet shooting yesterday for a couple of hours.
Is that hard work?
Can be. I mean, I don't know that it's hard work. It was fun. It was a sporting activity. Whenever you do a sporting activity,
Is that you're calling freaking shooting a sporting activity?
yeah, it's a sport.
Is it?
Yeah, skeet shooting is a sport. They actually,
I know.
by the way,
so is curling. So is curling. We get it, right? I knew if it's on the Olympics, it's a sport. I got it. I get it. Yes, sir. And I can tell, boy, you really did some wonders for you.
Yeah, my arm and shoulder and everything. A little tired yesterday. Had fun. I think I put out 80. I think I've hit. I ran through like 80 shells. I think my daughter did about the same number yesterday on clay pigeons. Had a lot of fun.
Good for you, man. Good for you. And
Spent a little father-daughter time yesterday.
Yes, sir. And for today, what do you have on the agenda?
So yesterday I gave time to my daughter. You know, my wife's out of town, so yesterday I gave time to my daughter. Today I am taking my mom and dad out to eat. So I'm gonna spend some time with them later on, probably around 3. They like to eat really early, and then we'll go eat. But I'll spend an hour or two with them.
Any NCAA tournament action yesterday? Did you watch anything?
No, I didn't. I was actually had a pretty relatively busy schedule yesterday with the daughter.
We did have some good basketball games yesterday. Duke took care of business yesterday. That's good to see. I'm curious to see what the brackets do. We'll wait till Monday until we get through the Sweet 16 mess, and then we'll have the Final Four coming up next weekend. You know, college basketball, just one of the great sports. That's what. Not like skeet shooting, don't get me wrong, or curling, but you know what? Those college basketball just truly is greatness.
I'm so putting a shotgun in your hand and letting you telling me how. I'm so doing that. We're gonna go skeet shooting and trap shooting and let you see how it's a little different. It was fun, but it is a sport.
It's like NASCAR, right? You're just staying in the same spot. Two, 3. Was it 2 shots? 3 shots? 2 shots? Bam, bam. It's like bam, bam, and then grab your beer and.
Oh, alcohol!
Got him again.
I'm gonna tell you. I'm just gonna be out there. I'm just gonna say alcohol and gunpowder.
I promise you, there's people out there drinking.
Yesterday, by the way, there was a trap tournament on. It was was South Lake Carroll High School sport team, skeet team was out there gunning against. I want to say it was Fort Worth School. I think they had 2 high school skeet teams out there gunning against each other.
Wow, good stuff, man. And
I know. I I don't know. I mean, I didn't want to break the news to any of those kids that they weren't actually involved in a sport. I didn't want
stuff, man. Good stuff. Yeah. You know what the good thing about those? They're never crowded either. You have mom and dad, unless they can absolutely find something to do, are the only spectators there. Dad or mom, if they can grab overtime, they're trying to grab it so they can apologize for not being there.
not being at the ski tournament. There was a lot of people there. They had a good time. There was I saw that, but we were in the cages, in the man cages. We weren't out on the trap field, so we had a pretty much reign of the cages. There was probably maybe only 15 people out there in the cages, so we had a good time.
Hey, so I was driving in this morning, I was thinking, I don't even know what brought me to this thought process. I want to get your thought on it. So we know in the world of trucking, just the when there's an accident or a fatality, the lawsuits that go with it are just crazy. And we see all the billboards everywhere. Everybody, call this, guaranteed we'll get you this. If your back's not hurting, it will be. All of that stuff right there, right? And I was thinking about that today, and a question for you on this is, for those that have had a family member, a husband, daughter, son, spouse, or whatever, killed by a truck in a trucking accident.
Mm-hmm.
You're the emotions, and let's just say that it was the truck driver's fault.
Mm-hmm.
The emotions that go with that are huge, and we see these major lawsuits that are going on, and I know we're against them and all that, but Dave, what are your thoughts? For the family that's just lost a loved one because of a careless act of a driver.
Well, first of all,
and no equipment, just the driver.
Yeah. Tragedy is without question difficult. The problem I have, and hear me out for a second, the issue I have is they're bombarded with influences that are like attorneys that walk up to them and say, "Hey, look, let's go after this trucking company because we need to teach them a lesson. Don't let your sacrifice be in vain." And I just don't like the way the premise by which they start this argument that they're doing good by going out and making this happen, that they're creating a safer place in the world by punishing these trucking companies.
But hasn't it made the trucking industry safer because of these things, because of these lawsuits? Haven't all of a sudden in the last, as these lawsuits have gotten worse, and we're talking about the punitive ones, right? Have we seen these just increase? Haven't trucking companies, do you think they've gotten a little better, a little bit more intentionality behind safety?
The pendulum is swinging that way and has been for some time. I don't know that it's just because of that, but the pendulum is swinging that direction. I think it has a lot to do with the technology that's there, and a lot to do with our ability to better monitor, better situation. To understand it, and also video. I think video has helped play a big part in our ability to help with safety. But I just think there is a point where is your point not proven at 40 million? Does it have to be 150 million? Is your point not? Well, at what point does it have to be $1 billion? Is that? Tell me, don't you think? I don't believe
with you, but so what? Tell me this: you went ski shoot with your daughter last night. What's her life worth? 40, 10 million?
I would
1 million?
never. Well, first of all, I'm not going to place a dollar value on my daughter. She's not for sale.
No, but you just said,
but
what? So what was your question before then? I'm not asking if she's for sale, Dave. I'm saying that that's what they're up against. So what is the value of life? What is the value of somebody? So are you saying you asked the question on, is it 40 million? Why 100 or whatever? I don't know. Is 40 million enough? What is the value placed on your spouse, your kid? Is it the amount of years they have left? Is it their potential? What is the value on that? I was just going off with what you said.
I believe there needs to be tort reform. I genuinely believe. I think it's rampant. I think it's because what typically happens, and I know that, but what typically happens, there are some valid cases that are necessary in order to have it, but then you have to admit there are many invalid cases that are in tort law and are in our courts that have no place to be there. Do you agree to that?
Yeah, Dave, I'm not arguing anything. I don't know what you're acting like I didn't. I don't even know where you're going. You're like the worst guy to bring a conversation with because everything's an argument. I'm asking your opinions. All I'm doing, sir.
I believe there needs to be tort reform. Yes.
I got you. So more of a tort reform on that. And at the end of the day, yeah, I mean, Edward said it right there. Yeah, there's no value you can place on life. And we're not here to, at least I'm not here trying to place a value on that. But, somebody loses somebody. And we are, in our industry, we don't want them. It's a tough thing. I mean, if that trucking company, and let's just go to the company, 'cause to me, it's a lot of different things in it. If that company has isn't doing anything on safety, isn't checking the driver's logs, isn't doing the minimum. Okay,
negligent.
Let's just talk about the minimum.
You
should always do more, but I think it goes deeper than that. If who is this company? Is it the independent contractor running under his or her own authority? Is it the trucking company that's just making their folks run rampantly? Illegal. And when I say making them run it, when you're not checking logs, when you have that ability on electronic logs, well, aren't you encouraging them to run illegal if you're not, if you're not policing them?
Correct.
And I think so. To me, it goes a little deeper than that. It goes to, go into more of the story of this person because we've seen this before, Dave. And man, we watched the intro to the show. We've seen some freaking close calls. And a lot of these vehicles are BCB transport. They're our trucks. That was just a second away from a major rear end. That, let's face it, when we rear end somebody, there's a great chance that somebody's going to lose life. And if that were to happen, I don't think that BCB transport should be able to be sued and done everything like a company that was. I don't think we're all created equal. How about that?
Agreed.
Trucking companies and people. What you all are doing out there on the road, your intentionality on this, to be safe, to be on the show, to even do what they did yesterday, Dave, when we kind of stirred the pot a little bit yesterday, and to hear the drivers come back saying, no, that was wrong. You can't do that ever. Those are important things that it goes to show where we as a company have really kind of taken safety to. And so, yeah, again, I was just thinking about that today, and I guess the habits that each one of our drivers have out there make a big play in this as well. The habits of how you drive the truck, and as we begin to move into a newer software, okay, with the Samsara, once again, I think that's BCB Transport doing the right thing, keeping up with better technology to help us become safe. It's going to come with a scorecard, a driver scorecard, and I'm excited for that. I'm excited for the tablet that comes with it that allows you to take pictures as you do your pre-trip, post-trip, allows you to take a picture of it and send that in, right to the computer. A lot of great things on that. But the driver scorecard, Dave, it's going to rank, and it's not taking it for fuel, it's not taking it for service, it's not taking it for miles driven. Taking about how you drive the truck, and it's using the camera system to help try to put everybody it can as levels of playing field as it can, and gives the drivers that opportunity, that ability to look at the videos that it said, hey, it wants you to look at, hey, just so you ran this stop sign. And when you watch it on a video, Dave, I mean, it's like instant replay on the sports. It's a lot easier to call. Real time, it's hard to see. But when you watch it on the video, it's easier to see that the ball went off of somebody's leg. And it's just easier to see that you you didn't stop. You may have slowed, but you didn't stop.
So I had about 11, 12 years ago, I got a ticket in the mail from the Arlington Police Station. They had a camera that videoed me rolling a stop sign. I was like, I didn't do that. And then you can click on the video, and it definitely shows me slowing, but never stopped when I made my right-hand turn. Guilty as charged. And I could have sworn, thinking back, that, yeah, I stopped at that. I never stopped at that. I definitely rolled that. And I saw the video. I definitely watched the video. I was like, yeah, oh yeah, that was me. And I'm like, I can't. Did I not? I thought I stopped.
And that's in our car. And Dave, think about the our drivers here at BCB that are driving thousands of miles a week.
Oh yeah.
All right.
100%.
I mean,
oh yeah.
Listen, if we don't think that we're making a mistake out there,
oh yeah.
And don't get me wrong, it's nothing to beat yourself about. No. We're not gonna ask you to go into to watch the video and then grab your laptop, start hitting you in the head. You stupid. What was I thinking? Why didn't I come to a complete stop?
No.
All of that. No. It's there to educate you and to look at your habits as you're out there driving to make you just a little bit safer. Again, we talk about watching film. To me, this is the greatest thing because this is your own video that's going to show you the good things and the bad things. Dave, these cameras that we're going to have, not only do they capture the stop signs and if you slow roll it or run it all the way, the stop lights, these yellow lights. So hear me out. I'm going to tell you now, all these yellow lights that you have probably ran. And you're like, don't put the foot on the brakes, and nobody will ever know. Those lights.
those days are gone.
Yeah, me and we were talking about. I won't call his name out, but we were having that conversation out there. When I told him that, he just started laughing. I said, "Yes, those lights that we all get a little closer to, and this is going to tell us. This is like your own little narc saying, hey, FYI, and it's going to show you what you did." And Dave, I'm pumped up. I'm excited for that. It's also going to read the construction zone speed limits on the sign. So it's going to, as you're driving down, it's not looking at the GPS.
Not looking at the one that's marked out for the road,
it's
but
reading the signs.
Yeah.
Is what it's doing.
And I'll tell you what's really nice about it. And if you think about it, let's just say as a driving habit, let's just say you think you use your turn indicator every time you change lanes. You get your scorecard and you're on 50%. And you're realizing that, obviously, I think I'm hitting the turn indicator every time I change lanes, but I'm doing it way less than I thought I was. So it's something to work on, right? I mean, it's something. So you get your scorecard and you're like, okay, I got this. Now, if I work on this little bit right here, my score is going to go up automatically.
Yep.
And then I've got something that I can work on the bad things quickly, and then I can improve my skill set all the way up. What a great idea. I mean, isn't that what we do here? We go after, hey, this is the worst thing. You look at your spreadsheet. Rick's real big on spreadsheets, and I get spreadsheets, and I go over them every day now, and I look at them, and I'm like, okay, these are the worst things. And if I knock off these worst things, then my overall number looks
Yes, and that's what it's for. So when we start seeing these, and this happens like the 14th, 15th, we'll get the software becomes integrated of April. So right around the corner, we get the integration in. It starts working, the Samsara units, the cameras, everything. What we want you to know is don't get scared of it, first of all. We're not going to use it to it's an education. It's a tool to make us better. That's what absolutely. It's for.
And it's a challenge.
Yes, for sure. It definitely is. Hey, Daniel Bass, I saw you had your hand up. Talk to me, sir. Oh, I think I just lost him. Nope, there he is. Dan, you have to unmute yourself if you're able to, sir.
What's going on, Daniel?
There you go. Good morning, guys.
Good morning, Mr. Bass. How are you?
Two things. I'm doing great. Two things. I just passed an accident a little while back. Right as I got off about 45 on the I-20 heading eastbound. It kind of reminds me of how fragile these cars are. This car has been two total separate pieces in a mangled mess. I really don't want to live. I can't imagine anybody living through that. And I was going into what you guys were talking about as far as the accidents and how anytime you have a fender bender or something that will like to be online.
Yeah.
But we went into talking about traffic stops, stop signs and stoplights. And I remembered there was one time, and you guys weren't on the call, but I mentioned, and I didn't get any feedback. I was wanting other drivers to kind of let me know if they had the same situation happen. But over the years, I've had, when I'm coming up on a stop sign or a stoplight, I could be stopping at the the very same time, even somehow it happens. Sometimes it happens where a vehicle is even with my mirror, and I don't see this car at all.
Yeah.
And I'm looking back forward, and all of a sudden there's a car because it was hiding behind the mirror.
Wow.
So I had to train myself to look forward and back,
Yeah.
lean forward and look back, and do that because it's happened a few times that it's actually startled me when I didn't have to stop before. And the other vehicle wasn't stopping. I had the right of way. But because I leaned forward and saw it, I was able to slow up and let it go. It could have been that quick, even though I was in the right, I didn't see the car. But my point was, I was trying to find out if any other drivers have that same issue, or if it's just, a freak thing that happens from time to time.
Gotcha. Thank you for that, Daniel. We'll leave the lines up, see if anybody wants to hop in on that. Drive safe, Dave. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, those mirrors, those West Coast mirrors, those that stand out there, they always, and they talk about it, creates the blind spots. You talk about the blind spot over the hood, and you talk about the one behind you, but those mirrors themselves create blind spots on left or right. That's why you always look left, you always look right, you always look back a left again, and I always look back right. I always look twice. That way any traveling vehicle within behind those mirrors, or you can always move a little bit and get around them. That's one of the reasons I think some of the mirrorless trucks, when they come out, are going to create this open window area, make it a whole lot better so that you'll be able to see and not have those blind spots.
Hey, here we go. Alan Arnold, talk to me, sir. Good morning, and can you relate at all to what Mr. Bass is talking about?
Yeah, I can. Had one happen the other day, and just sitting right there beside me. I couldn't see it in either one of the mirrors,
Yeah.
And it happened real quick, But I want to ask a couple questions here on the lawsuits and stuff. I had an attorney explain this to me in detail. All right. What does a trucking company pay per year for a retainer for a law firm? Not a lawyer, but a law firm. What does an insurance company pay for the same thing? Okay? To protect themselves. Because I had a lady, no license, no insurance in Ohio, and she clipped me in the front. I turned her sideways. It cost me $250,000, plus her old man got me $50,000 because he could not have relationship with his wife. Okay? Now this was from an attorney that got them this money. It was an easy grab. That's what upsets me right there, is we have to pay for our protection. They get representation for free. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. Let me go ahead and countersue her. Countersue him. Hey, it would cost me a fortune to countersue, and I'd get nothing from them at all.
Yep. Nothing.
So, that's what upsets me about the lawsuits, is they know this. These individuals, they don't have anything. They have a house, they have a car. What are you going to do? You're going to take everything from them? But they have no problem taking everything from us.
Yep. Hey.
Making us look like very, very incompetent. That's the word that pisses me off more than anything. They make us look incompetent.
Thank you, Alan Arnold. I appreciate that. So, Dave, I'm going to talk about that for a minute. So, because there's two different sets of rules that we operate in, right? The trucking company has to have all this insurance, and now there's certain states that the insurance that they're required to have, it wouldn't cover the front bumper of a truck. And yet they're able to go out there and operate, back into us or hit us, and it's totally their fault. And yet you have nothing to go for. You still lose in that case, right? Because they have nothing. They have the minimum required insurance, which isn't enough to do for, let alone downtime. for anything, it's not allowed to do that. Yeah, I agree. It's always bothered me on that part right there. It's always bothered me the fact that they can get away with very little insurance, and if you go after them, well, there's nothing to get. Yet if something happens at all, anything, even to Alan's point there, is that, boy, they go and they try to find everything. Yes, tort reform definitely needed in our industry throughout the country. And now you have companies, and we've seen Iowa face it or fight it first, and not a lot of other people have been able to pass it through. But now you have those private equity groups joining forces, buying out these law firms to go out there and press this case as well. So now you have a lot of money, private equity investments going in for lawyers that sue trucking companies to get to this point, because it's a cha-ching, cha-ching, cha-ching. There's very little tort reform. We have House Bill 19 that passed in Texas. That's a great start, but it doesn't prevent or doesn't keep the private equities from investing into attorneys into here. Iowa did get one in place, but it is like it's a tough thing to get through.
I will tell you, and what's crazy is that because of the amount of money, the difficulty in the process, and all of this stuff, some insurance companies, and the lawyers know this, they're quick to settle so they can get it in and out. And then, so in other words, whether you have a case, a good case, or a frivolous case, a lot of times those will be settled quickly, and the lawyers know this and quickly go through and try to settle them fast.
All right. Hey, Mr. Crawford, I see you have your hand up, sir. Talk to me, buddy. See if we can get, may have lost him. Mr. Charlie Crawford. There you are, buddy. Hey, good morning.
What's up, Charlie?
Hey, good morning to you guys. Sorry about that. I threw a bag of chips over here on my phone. I guess sorry about that.
What kind of chips, first of all?
Actually, they're these New York bagel chips. I picked them up at Walmart. They're less fattening than that Frito-Lay stuff. Oh, but anyway, I'm sorry about that, guys. I'm driving through Fort Worth here, and let me get out there so I can watch these knuckleheads.
All right. Thanks, Charlie.
All right, sorry about that, guys.
You're good. Thank you, Charlie. All right. Drive safe, Dave. And you know what? Hey, we got Lester on here. Hey, Edward, top of the morning to you, sir.
Hey, good morning, fellas. How y'all doing this morning?
Good. What's up?
And most of these insurance companies now, I'm not sure how it works with the trucking industry, but I know with the cars, the insurance companies now have put the laws have put caps on them, or they're only they only have to pay out X amount of dollars.
Yeah, it's
and it's not very much. Yeah.
No, it's really not, because like right now, my wife and I were experiencing that right now when she got hit last year with her in her personal car. So we're dealing with that right now. So I don't know how it is with the the trucking industry. I know we probably have to pay out a little bit more than what the normal cars pay, but I know most insurance companies now are putting caps on them.
Yeah, I'm just looking at what the majority of the states are as you're talking about that. So bodily injury, $25,000. Property damage, $25,000. I mean, and these are mainly the minimums that that people have, and it's just, I mean, think of the cost of a truck. I mean, $25,000. That means you're out of pocket for the rest. I mean, it's all of these things. It's insane, the difference, it's just, again, and yes, the attorneys know all this, and there's just not a lot you can do on this. It's absolutely crazy. Hey, Ed, we appreciate you, buddy. Thank you. Stay safe out there. Drive safe, Dave. Just a lot of, it's craziness out there. But again, that's why we try to do what we talk about here, right? Is try to make sure we're doing everything. And I know some people, at first, and even today, I'm sure it still happens. It's just, why do you spend so much time? Well, this is, not only just this, but your value as a driver. The challenges that you're up against. We want to make sure that we, as a company, are supporting what you're doing out there, because it's extremely difficult, to do so many things right. And the videos, again, I'm gonna brag on technology. I think the videos will show will show how safe you are. And that's the beauty of having these videos as well. It really does. More times than not, it protects you. And even if it doesn't protect you, it takes out the, well, I wonder who did. It takes out the I wonders. It shows you who was at fault.
And I'll tell you, a lot of the videos have been very helpful in clearing trucking companies.
Many times we would have just been thrown guilty, and we've had officers tell us that. I'm glad you had the video, or I'd have thought it'd been your fault.
Absolutely.
And it shows some of the things. Hey, Dave, what do we got going on out there in that weather today?
Real quick, it looks actually very good. I will tell you that right now up in the Northeast, up in the Cumberland Gap area, if you're running east and west to New Jersey to Kentucky, you're going to run into some light snow in the upper elevations of West Virginia. And that's going to move basically up and out over tonight. And by tomorrow, it should be way up there and way up high as it moves off the East Coast. I will tell you, today and tomorrow, look at the entire country. So, Rick, most of the entire country looks absolutely good. No precipitation. If you're west of Ohio, all the way to California, and all the way into tomorrow. So today and tomorrow look really good as far as weather goes. So good trucking weather to head out tomorrow. If you're not heading out today, you can head out tomorrow, and you're going to have some good, clear skies, good trucking weather.
Nothing wrong with a little bit of good weather. However, you still have to make sure that you're maintaining your speed and space. We don't, Dave, it doesn't, sometimes we've seen it in the past, and not so much last year, but, say 3 years, 4 years, 5 years ago, we saw when the weather went from that wintry mix to springtime that sometimes we got a little careless.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what I mean by good trucking weather. When you get to the end of April and that left arm is way more tan than that right arm because you've had it out on that window for a long, because you got that nice cool air, that breeze, that good trucking weather. But yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. You got to pay attention to any time we have a seasonal change. We have to remember and exercise the understanding that each season brings on its own different set of challenges that make it difficult sometimes to drive out there. And I'll tell you, a lot of them, and one of the most concerning ones for me is fog. You'll get a whole lot more fog in this winter to spring type mix. You'll encounter a lot more fog, and fog to me is super scary.
Yeah, for certain. Any benefit today for the company, independent contractor, for anybody to get your trucks inspected right around the season changes as well?
Oh yeah, you want to make, you always want to make sure, but I say have a third party person inspect your truck on a regular basis, whether it be your mechanic or whatever. Just have them look it over, because you see the same thing over and over and over, and sometimes you miss it. Sometimes you miss that because you're looking at it a certain way. It is your truck, or it doesn't matter if you're a company driver or if you're owner. That's your tractor. That's your baby. That's your truck. You need to really understand it, know it, listen to it, smell it. I mean, believe it or not, all the senses work in understanding how good. And sometimes it just is okay to have it inspected, because a third person looking at it sometimes goes, hey, did you see this cracked line on this deal because you didn't spot it? You've looked over it 100 times and it wasn't cracked there last week, so you weren't looking for it. So those things happen.
Yeah, and don't forget to you have the senses as well. Sometimes when you're driving, if you smell that gas, don't get alerted. Maybe you just had Taco Bell or you had some bean dip, and it's a different kind of gas smell. So just be careful on that.
Hopefully you're smelling diesel and you're not smelling a lot of gas.
Yeah, what if I got gas going on here? Hey, we have Ricky Bowling. Ricky, good morning to you. Welcome to BCB Safety Struck.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Good morning to you.
My sister, about 2 years ago, she was still a truck driver, but it wasn't even, she was like 27 years old. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't even the driver's fault. It was actually her husband. They were literally driving on the opposite side of the road, and he was just driving like a maniac, leaving them two cars. And then they went through the median on the other side of traffic, and there were like three trucks. It was three-way, and I guess they were all trying to pass each other, and he just went right across. Get hit on the driver's side. So like even though it wasn't his fault.
Right.
Because he was driving at that point, my sister lost her life. You know what I'm saying? Even though it wasn't his fault. You know what I'm saying? But and I'm sure my brother-in-law, he could have, whatever, probably wanted to. Even though it was his fault, I'm sure there could have been a lawyer that could have figured out why it was their fault, these drivers' fault.
No,
I just couldn't imagine being the driver of that. You know, that's it.
Hey, Ricky, I appreciate that, and sorry for your loss. And yeah, we've seen that happen too, Dave, where the passenger, the four-wheeler, lost control on their own, went across a ditch. It just happened with Werner, a major lawsuit a few years back in West Texas. Jumps across in inclement weather, hits a truck that that wasn't doing anything crazy, wasn't disobeying, it wasn't going too fast. Hits that person, and Werner loses a major lawsuit on that. They're fighting it still though, and you know, because the quote was, or what the lawyers found is that it was a newer driver, and although he or she, it was a he, didn't do anything wrong, he shouldn't have been there because he didn't have the experience. And had he not have been there, well, she'd have just went into the field and wouldn't have hit him. And that's where I just think, you know what, I draw the line on that. Come on, the truck driver did nothing wrong. And yet the fact, and they'll use your logbook for the same way. So those of you that have, you know, and I know I'm crazy to think anybody's running illegal, but when you run illegal, they will grab your logbook and they will go back in the last 7 days, whatever they can grab, and prove that, hey, had you not have done that 6 days ago, you wouldn't have been in the position you were today. You know, had you not have gone 30 minutes illegal 2 days ago, 5 days ago, well, there's no way that you would have been where you are today, and so none of this would have happened. And the jury, they stick up there, and they just, you know, it's at
Alligator.
It's a reptile theory that comes in, and it's just once they hear that, our minds, it releases some enzyme, and we all of a sudden we become the protector of the people, and we go against the trucking company just because that's how it works. So unbelievable though. Hey, sorry for your loss. I tell you, you know, Dave, and I don't know why I was thinking about that today, but it was, you know, it's not about the, you know, to me, it's about what's that truck, you know, get to the root cause. Okay. You know, who was right? What happened? What are they doing? You know, is this trucking company, is this driver a habitual offender of these things? Because I think it matters. I don't think there's any room in our industry for trucking companies that don't care about safety, for drivers that don't care about safety, for dispatchers that don't care about safety, for HR or recruiters that hire anybody and everybody. There is no room for those folks in our industry. Just isn't. We've got to clean this industry up. We have to continue doing that, and that means that trucking companies have to continue to take a hard look at themselves on who and how they are being represented out there on the highway. That means that if you have a truck or 10 or 20 or 100 sitting on the side, you don't change your habits. You don't bring in somebody that may be a risk. You have minimum hiring criteria, and that's what you stick to as well. So it's those kind of items as well that we just have to continue. Hey, Mr. Winshauer, good morning to you, sir. How are you?
Good morning, everybody. Hey, Rick, speaking to you, what you were just talking about, how they use the logbook to discredit truck drivers. My previous company, Newsbound, we unfortunately experienced, not me personally, but another driver at Newsbound, experienced a pretty significant accident. And I mean, it was a bad one. Him versus motorcycle. And the motorcycle actually technically was at fault, but they were suing based on preventability. And what happened was they used the driver's logbook against him. You know, and the driver testified, and they used the police report, his statement, blah, blah, blah. But then, when the driver was on the stand, the guy, the attorney from the victim, or the motorcyclist attorney, says, okay, you know, you seem to be somewhat credible, but let's talk about our logbook. He said, you know, and they go in, and he goes in a little bit about, you know, how logbook works and how we have to certify under penalty of law the accuracy of each and every day's log. truck move? I mean, what is it solar power? And you know where I'm going with this. The guy is like, well, no, I think it's fuel. He goes, and the attorney's, well, you're supposed to log getting fuel, are you not? And the attorney goes on to say he had subpoenaed fuel receipt, and something like he had only logged 40% of his fuel stops, and then so basically that attorney just completely used his certifying that he never got fuel to completely discredit the testimony of the driver, and that was the deciding factor in losing that multi-million-dollar settlement. So it's just we got to remember how important the accuracy of these logs are, because they will bite us in the ass if we don't do what we log and log what we do.
Yeah, for certain. Thank you, Brian, for that. Do appreciate that, and brings up a great point, Dave. And again, it's just we've got to remember when we're out there driving or in the office, whatever we're doing, is that logbook. And again, today in the world of the technology we have today, non-paper, is that it should be able to identify everything you're doing. It should be working. Everything should be working. If your electronic logs is not working, say something about that too. We should also have checks and balances in place to make sure that those things are working, because you've got to log it how you do it. And we have to remember that there's just not much gray area anymore, and there never has been. But with the technology we have today, boy, let me tell you something. There's nothing you're doing that the plaintiff's attorney, any attorney, can't get their hands on.
Especially with electronics and the data collection that they have, they absolutely can get it. They can subpoena it. They can get all the records that you have. I will tell you that when we moved from paper completely to electronic logs, that just so you know, the smallest increment in a paper log was 15 minutes, and a lot can transpire in 15 minutes. So there was a mindset, a general rule in our minds that we had a 15-minute fudge on every single thing we did, because it could happen in 7 minutes or 8 minutes or 3 minutes or whatever, but it was close, whichever one's closer. Now there's no fudge. Now there's no gray area, no moment, no time, it's to the absolute second, whatever it is you're doing. So if you need to take that moment to do your form and manner, put in the right trailer, make sure it's correct. That's how important those little details are every single time, because you need to be pulling the right trailer. You need to be pulling the trailer that you have on the record of what you got back here, because if you're not doing that, then your log is illegal, and it's incorrect.
And think about if you don't do a pre-trip or post-trip, or let's just say pre-trip. Okay, let's just go there, and you get into some kind of accident at all. Again, the fact you didn't do your pre-trip, you're done, right? We're done.
Toasted.
Yeah, it's over, and they have to, and they can go back and even find ways to verify you did it. I mean, there's just ways. Think about this. There's cameras all over the place. Yep. Somebody has a camera of you getting in there, starting your truck, and leaving.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Somewhere along the line. And when you're talking millions and millions, and this is where the private equity comes in. They will throw that money and find these things because it's worth it in the end to them. It's just a business for them. It's not about the life that was taken.
No.
It's about the business. Alan brings up another question, Dave, and it's how do we stop? How does and we've been after this for many years, and I don't think you ever stop it. How do you stop companies with bad safety scores, companies that have been put out of business from starting a new company? You don't. There's checks and balances in place to try to capture that thing, but when they can open it up in their kid's name, their wife's name, another LLC, I don't know how you ever police that. You just do your best, and hopefully you capture. But listen, normally we find those guys after they've done something else again and again and again, and after it's about 3 or 4 agains, then, and it's usually with a bad fatality accident, then they face jail time at that point. The answer to what Alan is though Alan is, or I guess the big answer to the question would be, well, you just don't let them start. But boy, what you'd have to really have some better process regulation in place to keep those from starting, because we saw 80,000 new entrants into the system last year alone. Okay, so 80,000 new entrants. Of those 80,000, who knows how many of those were folks that shouldn't have been able to even get one. And when you have the rates that we saw last year, I'm going to tell you something. There's companies, there's people that did it just for pure money, that ran a crap ton of miles, that ran illegal, that didn't have e-logs, because you'll never know until you get pulled over.
Right.
You know, and I want to make sure people know that, is that, you know, e-logs doesn't mean that you have to run e-logs. It's a rule, but you don't have to stop at a stop sign. You don't have to stop at an intersection when it's a red. You don't have to do any of that. You only get in trouble when you get caught doing that.
Right.
These truck drivers out there today, you know, all these new entrants, with the revenue that was coming in last year, they just came in there and negotiated and ran, and made more money they've ever made before, and no telling how many that was made illegally.
Yeah, and you also have all these new
They
companies.
didn't check anybody. These new entrants, they didn't get checked last year. How are you going to check them?
Drug clearinghouse.
Yeah, how are you going to do it? You only get caught with a driver that doesn't have a CDL if he gets pulled in. That's
right.
it.
That's right, and there were many of them that happened. There were many that happened that this way last year, and there are continue to happen. The drivers are out there and they don't have a CDL. They don't have the training. They don't have the safety information. They don't have e-logs. They don't have this. They don't have, and they don't care. There are videos I saw. What was that one video we saw? The log hauler. Did you see that one? When had the straps that were busted and the wheel lug nuts were broken. There's no pre-trip.
It's almost like you need a committee to allow companies from coming on and that just ask questions, like, you know, and these are trucking companies that do this, not you know, the people that know a fraud when you see one.
Yeah.
You know, and you can tell, right?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you can tell a flatbedder by a few different questions. We had Raquel Packett's on. And, you know, just there's a few things there when they don't know what strap means, when they don't know what chain is. You know, there's a pretty good idea they don't know what they're doing out there.
Absolutely.
You know, and, you know, I think the same would go to some things. So, hey, what are you doing to monitor your electronic logs? And they can just, you know, those are questions that there's only one or two answers. And how you answer it, you know, we can really ask a follow-up question and find out, you know what, this person's not running e-logs. This is fake news. Fake news. Hey, Drive Zach, if you want to close us out with a prayer.
Yeah, dear Heavenly Father, we gather before you on this Sunday to ask for your grace in all things. Father, give us the strength and the courage to go out and do what needs to be done today, to do what's right and to do what you see in your will as you see it out there in the world today. Father, give us the ability to make a difference in some way today. Help us to be different today and better. Help us to find a way to make better decisions, for not only for ourselves, but for those around us. Keep our drivers safe, God. Give them the ability to do what needs to be done and help them protect others out there on the road. Father, we ask that you give us the courage to do the hard things, the best things, and the great things out there each and every day. We ask all this in your name we pray. Amen. All right, everybody, I hope that you have a great and wonderful Sunday, a blessing Sunday, and we will be on at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning for you on BCB Live, the safest station in the nation.